it's hard not to notice what's not happening. And when you have Devante Parker, Jonnu Smith, and Hunter Henry have 0 receiving yards, 0 receptions on 7 targets total. Sure, sometimes there's game plan specific stuff, but I mean, you're talking about they're running a ton of 2 tight end sets, Alex. And the idea is that they want to run some of this offense through these guys. And there's just nothing going there. And I'm not really sure how much is design, how much is just simply there's just nothing there. And, Parker, we've already talked about his issues. You've got 2 interceptions and 1 completion through 2 games going his way. That stuff's not working right now.
Yeah, so I think it comes down to Mac kind of has his guys. Do you have I don't have it right in front of me. Threw the ball, 35 times, right, in this game?
Yep.
So Mac
was 21 of 35 for 252.
Okay, so 35 times, 19 of those 35 targets were to Jacoby Myers or Nelson Agholor. Myers was targeted 13 times. Agholor 6. Nobody else more than 3.
Yeah.
So
no, he's got his binky. It's obviously Jacoby Myers.
It is, but
number 1. That's his safety valve, and then he looked for Agholor. And again, we're happy that happened because the Agholor had been one of the worst connections he's had. They could not get on the same page. Seeing them get on the same page at all is great. So you're right, but what's going on with the other guys?
Yeah, so I think some of it is Max. He's looking to Myers and Agholor first. I think with Jonnu Smith, he didn't get as open as he did last week. I thought he looked good last week. The one I will say, Mac threw him, I don't know if it was a wheel route or just a slot fade late in the first half that he put Jonnu maybe could have made a play on it. It was maybe a little overthrown. It fell incomplete. That's the kind of throw I'd like to see Mac test more. I thought there was it was never going to be picked off or anything. It was either Jonnu's going to catch or it's going to be incomplete. So that throw more with Henry. It doesn't seem like he's running the seam as much as he did last year. It seems like they're lining him up more to the outside or they're running him underneath. That's a little concerning to me. I'd like to see him run the seam more. I think that's where most of his production came. And maybe there's something about him running routes in other places or Mac where he doesn't want to throw him the ball in those other spots. And as for Devante Parker, he hasn't given Mac a ton of reason to throw him the ball. I think Mac's targeted him, 3 times this year, right? And
I think 4, but yeah.
Okay, well, he targeted
maybe 3 or 4.
Today.
Yeah. Okay.
2 of them have been picks, and one of them certainly. I know it was a missed call last week, but Parker still could have done more to fight for that ball. This week, again, it wasn't a great throw, but as a quarterback, you remember that where, all right, I'm throwing to this guy, and the ball keeps getting picked off, and he's supposed to be the 50-50 guy. He came out in camp, he said 80-20, and he just, he hasn't really given Mac a reason to throw to him. And especially with young quarterbacks, you got to give him a reason to throw to you. So that to me is the deal with Parker. I think Jonnu Smith, some of it is circumstantial. I liked what I saw from him last week. I'm not super worried about him. I think just today, Steelers have a lot of fast linebackers. It wasn't a Jonnu Smith game. I didn't think it was going to be a Jonnu Smith game coming in. Hunter Henry, it looks like his route tree has changed. That's interesting. That's something to monitor. Parker's the only one where I'm really worried about the connection.
So again, the fact that there is such a thing as a Jonnu Smith game or a Hunter Henry game speaks largely to the problem of that you didn't bring them in here to work in certain situations and certain circumstances. You brought them in here to be dynamic, middle of the field threats, Jonnu being able to do stuff after the catch and Hunter Henry just being a first down machine who were just going to be difficult people to defend at all times, not under certain circumstances. So I don't want to excuse it entirely and just be like, this wasn't the ideal matchup. Yeah, sure. Every once in a while you have the fast linebackers. They're going to do a better job against tight ends, or you're going to have a really big cover corner who's going to erase a receiver, X, Y, and Z. But there's just too many games where there are zeros.
Yeah,
I know we've only played 2 this year, but I mean, you're just not getting enough here. And after 2 games, you can't be getting this little.
They've always been a bit of a game plan offense, though, right? And I know, like you said, you pay those guys to do big things. It's concerning when neither of them have a big game. I think what's attractive is they're very different players. So, in theory, one of them should always be in play in any game, right? It's when they both don't do much that's concerning. I'll tell you this. Look, the Ravens are the Ravens. They are what they are. Mike Gesicki had a big game for the Dolphins today against the Ravens, who the Patriots play next week. They, at the very least, I think Hunter Henry, if Hunter Henry's not more involved next week, I'll be a little worried.
But is it really that concerning if we don't get a huge tight end game from a day like today? Because realistically, if you look at a guy like Hunter Henry, who seemed like, instead of a
It's
third down back being a security blanket last year, though, when you have today a guy like Jacoby Myers step right into the role, completely unbothered by it, like the offense still moved. It's not like they were
So
missing the target share from the tight end, but they weren't missing like
that's not my
so
issue.
here's the problem.
My issue is
Here-
this. I'll let you get. Like, I just
Yeah.
want to put. When I say it's an issue, it's the idea behind. There's not one star, but there's a lot of different options on the offense. Only works if all of them are actually options. Not if
Yes.
there's. And that's the issue. Is it should be you should be able to find mismatches different places because you have so many different versatile type of weapons out there, and they're
Right.
not doing that. They're really sticking to 1 and 2 guys as go-tos consistently, or at least Mac is.
And just what I would add to that too, in this game, yes, it's not a concern. And look, if this is a one-off, if
Right.
this is the worst game for the tight ends this year, fine, so be it. Like that might happen. The concerning thing is again, when you have two guys getting such an incredible volume of the target share in Myers and Aguilar, eventually a defense is going to say, we're going to double Jacoby Myers. We're going to double him on every play. We're going to double him on third down. We're going to sit underneath him on third down. If that opens up, Kendrick Bourne down the field, if that opens up Hunter Henry down the field, if that opens up Jonnu Smith in the flat to pick up yak plays, so be it.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Okay, but here's the thing. They need to be able to take advantage of that. Mac needs to be able to take advantage of that. You're the one who brought up the third down where he forced it to Jonnu Smith, right? It's the same thing. Eventually, and this is why I'm saying it's not necessarily a problem. It's just something to watch. Eventually, a team is going to say to Mac, we're taking away Jacoby Myers. We don't care what else you do. You're not going to throw the ball Jacoby Myers today.
Right.
Mac's got to be able to respond to that. And the guys he's going to go to respond to that, you would think, are mainly the tight ends. So they just, again, again, it's 2 games in,
Right.
but it's the question is when that happens, how will they handle it? I don't think it's next week against Baltimore. Green Bay could certainly play that way. They could throw Jair Alexander on Jacoby Myers. And look, I think Jacoby's a good player. Jair Alexander might be top 5 corner in the league.
Right.
If they want to take away Jacoby Myers, they can take away Jacoby Myers. What are you going to do if you're Mac Jones, if you're the Patriots offense in that situation? Especially, Green Bay, you're probably not going to be able to run the ball 30, 35 times like you did today. They're going to need an answer. And I think that's what me and John are talking about. It's not a concern, but this is kind of the next step, the next evolution in this offense. Cool.
Show us something.
Right.
Yeah.
They can win when Jacoby Myers catches 9 passes. That's great. If they couldn't, then I'd be really alarmed. I'm glad they can do that. I'm glad we saw that. What happens when he can't? That's what the next step is.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's going to be, like you said, it's going to have to be a tight end game where Hunter Henry goes into the week knowing that he's going to need to show up here. Because I was looking on Twitter earlier, and Taylor Kyles, our film guy here at CLNS, was looking at some stuff from week 1, and Henry looked like he was like essentially checked out of the game. He was making, every time he was in for a block, he kind of just was putzing around and not doing anything, where Jonnu Smith was a guy who was actually kind of making a little bit of effort. So it almost could be a thing where, okay, Hunter Henry, we're going to need you this week. You need to show out. And I have the confidence in him to do that because I think we saw what him and Mac had last year. This year, if they have to kind of go to it, we'll have to see, but it doesn't necessarily, that whole dynamic of having them take away that guy and then having to fill it in with Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry, who he showed he has a connection with even last year and at some points this year. It doesn't worry me as much, I think, as you guys.